Oh, I can move my chair up. I moved it down.
Hey, everybody, we're adjusting the chairs.
Hello, good afternoon.
Wow. I have 1,000, by the way, I have to say. There's like 1,000 pictures I want to look at right now because we just got our photo shoot drafts from Emily Kostopoulos. I'm so excited to look at them. But anyway, that's why we're like 30 seconds late. Sorry.
Yes, so thank you to Emily Kostopoulos for the amazing photo shoot. And thank you to Studio 621, downtown Spearfish. We used that place to do our pictures, and it was great. So that's cool.
Super cool.
All right, other announcements. We are going to be at the Regional Health Foundation Gala. We don't know what other people say.
Fancy dress party
Friday night. Also golfing at the Cops for Kids fundraiser for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Rapid City, Black Hills, somewhere around here.
Good. I used to be a big sister. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
I did.
Aww.
Yeah, to a teenage kid, actually. It was really great. We did a lot of fun stuff in Sioux Falls. It's a really great program. You should get involved.
Yeah, you should get after it.
Yeah.
Connections from Billings is going to be joining us this week to brainstorm a little bit about how we could potentially be working together on some projects. So that'll be really fun. And then
I have yet to meet the ladies from Connections.
Yes.
So I'm excited to meet them.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm going to be at, on the 4th of September, I will be at the Hook Lunch and Learn. So talking about something probably already has been determined, and Shelly will tell me
later
what it's going to be. Apparently I'm doing an Instagram takeover of the Chamber's Instagram page. Is that right? The Hook's Instagram page.
Shelly will be doing the Instagram takeover.
That's exactly right. I still don't really understand the point.
That makes you sound really old when you say that. Those things.
I don't care at all. Rachel is going to Canada. Oh, Canada. She will be there at the Fireside Conference outside of Toronto.
North of Toronto, yeah. I will be literally out of it's going to be like a forced social media hiatus. I cannot.
And you get to go, and I don't.
And I get to go.
That seems
it's
backwards.
Delightful. But yeah, it's this cool entrepreneur founder conference, and it is literally, there's no cell service. There is a tiny Wi-Fi signal somewhere, but like you can't even get email off the signal, so slow. So I'm just going to leave the phone and the laptop elsewhere. It's going to be delightful.
That does sound delightful. All right.
I guess the reason I'm going is I'm speaking on living your values through your company values. So that's I'll actually be speaking, not just getting the hell away from everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to Toronto so do you know that there's 3 ways to pronounce Toronto? So if you're from Toronto, it's Toronto.
Okay. Toronto.
If you're from the United States and you don't know any better, it's Toronto.
And
then, I don't remember now. If you're from
Quebec, that'd be the French version.
No, it's on if you're from Western Canada, so like BC area, Vancouver, it's Toronto. I don't remember.
The first O. Toronto. That sounds right.
Toronto. If you're for anyway.
Okay.
I learned all this. I spent a lot of time.
Listen to the Canadians and how they say it.
You should.
As a geographer, the locals are right.
Oh, of course. That's the rule. They always are. Okay, so some things that we do have coming up on our calendar. Project management classes. There's going to be 2 different classes, project management basics and then guiding organizational change. And those are the week of September 16th in Rapid City at the BHSU Rapid City campus. Facilitated by Dr. Rachel M.K. Headley. PMP.
They are PMI certified too, so if you know anything about PM stuff, it's all certified by the international body. So it's good stuff.
Our next IXAF cohort 5, if you are interested in being IXAF certified and changing the world, starts the 4th of September. We're going to test out a new way to deliver the information so that you can pick one of 2 ways. If you'd like to know more about that, you should
Message any of us.
Message anyone.
Or just ask in the comments and we'll post an answer.
Yep. And then we've got the Accountability Summit on September 25th in Sioux Falls at the R Wine Bar.
Our wine bar downtown, yeah.
Which is in the old Prairie Berry.
No, it's across this. I don't think it's in the old Prairie Berry. I think it's across the street. But I don't know.
It's downtown.
Google it.
In Sioux Falls.
It's over on 8th Street somewhere.
It's out on Eventbrite, and so we'll make sure we get the link for that in somewhere.
In the comments.
And so you can go by yourself to the Accountability Summit, or we're definitely offering it up to teams of people. So if you want to bring your team and figure out what 2020 looks like, we're going to develop real-time tools and a strategic accountability plan that you can take back to your workplace and exercise on. So
actually get things done.
Yeah,
that you want to.
That's right.
It's magical.
And then
skip. Oh,
I skipped this.
Okay.
So next week we are taking our own sage advice and having an executive or a corporate retreat for our company. So we will be not available or certainly not doing our live next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Or anytime on Wednesday. We're going to skip it next week, and we're going to spend some time getting ourselves ready for 2020. So sorry, we know you'll miss us, but we'll be back the week after that. So just don't you worry your pretty little head.
That's right. We'll be back. Can't get rid of us that easy.
Yeah.
And actually, I don't think we've missed since January.
We have not.
I don't think we've
ever
missed one.
We have not ever.
Yeah, not since. I think we started a year ago. This is the first time we're missing in almost a year. Wow, I'm impressed with our stability in this environment.
Me too.
This is very orderly for a couple chaos people.
It is.
Probably because it's a half hour.
One who really, really hates social media.
I know, right? It's not social media. Look, we get to connect with all of our people. It's amazing.
They're lucky. Okay, so buy-in. Employee buy-in. So this week the conversation is around how do you create employee buy-in and get people excited in that crazed football fan or hockey fan or baseball fan kind of way.
Wild raving fans.
Some of you are thinking right now that is impossible because the work we do in our organization is not that fun and it's boring and people just don't get excited about it. So it's not like anybody's going to be waving a foam finger around our office. I would argue with you that you are in fact wrong. If you buy the foam fingers, they will wear them. And that's...
You might not want to have them back.
No.
Well, the real secret to buy-in is that it's not about the work. It's about the people at work. I have worked with people that have done everything from flip burgers to fly satellites in outer space. And I can tell you that it is the work. It is not about the work. It is about the culture that you develop and the people that you work with and believing in each other and having each other's back and feeling like you're important to the company. So it's really not about the work. You can be in any industry. We were just talking about working in a manufacturing industry, a specific industry, and they want to be a world-class facility. And everyone's like, well, it's okay. Our numbers are industry average. And are you willing to settle for industry average? That's some of the questions. So industry average is a lot of people are miserable. So we just don't think that's an okay place to be. So that's my take on buy-in.
Yeah, there's a few places where employees will get information to create their buy-in to whatever their whatever they're going to buy into. So one place is the organization, obviously, you as a leader. The other place is whomever else they talk to.
Right.
Could be checking Glassdoor, could be checking Indeed, it could be looking on Facebook and listening to somebody whining about not liking the organization. And it's definitely, don't ever kid yourself into thinking it's not coming from your break room, their lunch breaks, conversations they're having when leaders aren't listening.
Happy hour.
So that's always happening, probably in every organization in reality. The trick is to minimize it. And the way you minimize it is to make sure that you're always transparently communicating with the workforce about what's going on in the organization. And I think, outside of some confidential information that, can't be released because if your company is publicly traded or if the executive committee says, we're not talking about that or this or whatever, I say my personal opinion is all things are on the table. Why can't you tell them about all the things? Because if it's not confidential, then why wouldn't you want them to know? And if you wouldn't want them to know because it's something you're not proud of and you don't want to admit it, then you're not a very good leader.
Doubly so, you should tell them.
Yeah. So
actually, we have a section on transparency in our book.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of my favorite sections. It's in part 3, I'm sure. It must be like page 136-ish. I'm not sure where it is. It's not a big enough subcategory to find it, but 174, which is almost the very end. And it's and for me, it's one of the most important things. We mentioned project management earlier, and that's all about communication and transparency and pulling together, knowing that the sum of your team is far greater than any one individual tries to work on their own or pulling in different directions. So that's why I think project management and leadership are so interwoven, because if you're not transparent or not willing to be transparent with your people, then they're not going to be transparent with you. And that's going to drive you crazy and destroy the team. So,
yeah, it's really important to be transparent with your folks.
Well, for me too, the most important thing about buy-in generally in culture and feeling like you're important is there's kind of 2 things that we talk a lot about is feeling valued for your organization and the opportunity to grow, whether that's official training in your capacity, whether it's being challenged in a new area, whether it's getting promoted, whatever it is that you might be. And that, of course, changes depending on your culture type and the kinds of things you like to learn. But if your people don't feel valued and feel like if they feel stuck and they feel like you don't care about them, no matter anything you do, you can't get buy-in will never come to you. So that's part of the hard work of leadership is making sure every person in your organization is vital to your organization. If they aren't, they should be kicked out. Or you should put them in something else. And they need to understand your perspective on why they're vital to your organization. We have some clients with huge turnover, and they keep people because Meg said the other day that some amount of somebody is better than 0 amounts of nobody, because they don't have any capacity to work without them. So I don't know if that person knows that they're critical to the success of the organization, but they should definitely be telling them.
Yeah. And one of the questions actually is, what is employee buy-in? Well, I would say it's when employees feel like they are valued and like they have an opportunity to grow, as Rachel very insightfully just pointed out. So a lot of times what we hear when organizations are having an issue with turnover is that, the feedback they're getting when people are leaving is, well, I didn't really know where I could go in the company. Nobody could really answer my question. They just kept saying, work hard, you're gonna get somewhere. Yeah. And so if people don't have a direction, they're not gonna buy in. And I think definitely in this day and age, the idea of loyalty to a company is much, much different. The perspective on that is much different than it used to be. So much so I would say that perhaps loyalty to a company is almost irrelevant. So if you're going to create buy-in for somebody, you have to make it worth their time. And making it worth their time in the loyalist generation is, well, you give me benefits and a paycheck and gall, Bob, I'm sure happy to be here. But that's not what's happening in this world today. So you have to be really thoughtful about engaging those people, making them feel valued, and then giving them opportunities to grow. I would also say, you know, people say, well, there isn't anywhere for them to really grow because, you know, Jane is the right person for this job and Bill's the right person for that job. And, you know, Sue's stuck down here for now, but we're training her to get to that position. Well, that's good. That's a good start. Train those people, create a succession plan, train them to get to that position, make sure they have the skills they need when they are able to move up into it. But don't fall into the trap of thinking that career advancement just means upward promotion in the organization. You can send them to learn. You can send them to project management training with Rachel Headley, or you can, you know, have them get certifications in different things. Maybe somebody could go be a GIS expert if they're in engineering or whatever. There's all kinds of opportunities for people to grow. I mean, shit, buy them a book. Like, it doesn't have to be something, you don't have to offer people a $20,000 pay increase. They just want to know that they're valued and that they have an opportunity to grow, and you support them in that. So that's, I think, we think, how you really create buy-in in your company right now.
That's right. And the next question, how can not having employee buy-in harm my team and business? I think the interesting thing is that no one voted for that, because I think we all kind of gut feel what happens when you don't have employee buy-in, which is a lot of bad things. We talk a lot about high turnover, and that's not necessarily turnover people you don't want. That's turnover people, that's people leaving that you wish would stay. You know, it's ineffective management, it's pissed off customers, it's unhappy staff, it's having people binge watch Netflix. There was an article the other day about De Niro's production company, Robert De Niro's production company. They tracked her login and she had binge watched like 12 hours of some Netflix show while she was on the clock. And they could tell because they could tell when she logged in, and they got all of her logs.
In one day?
Yeah.
Ugh, 12 hours of TV
I know.
in one day.
And yes, I'm sure she argued that she was doing something else, but you and I both know that if you're watching a show that you've never seen before, you're watching the show. You might have your laptop out. Not that I would know how this works at all every single night of my life, but I have my laptop out and I'm watching a show and I don't get the shit done on my laptop. So that's what happens when you have a crap culture, when you don't have buy-in to what you're trying to accomplish in your company. That's the kinds of things that happen. And I think we all kind of get that those are the nasty things that nobody likes.
Yeah, I think the secret, though, about that, to add to what Rachel's talking about, is, well, of course, we all know what happens when your turnover goes up, efficiency goes down, all this stuff. But it's fascinating how often we work with clients who think, well, it's just fine.
Right?
They're like, oh, well, that's just, the industry.
That's
like,
just how it
that's
is
just
here.
how it is here. That's just, we lose people. We, travel nurses move around a lot, or, they
had a better opportunity.
The oil field's coming back alive up in North Dakota. So, that's just what happens. Be careful not to make excuses and be real with yourself, or make sure your company is being real with itself about it's not about what the industry is saying is okay. It's not about what's going on, the external factors that are going on. It's about the environment within your business. And are you happy with that? Is that your standard? If you're losing more people than you want to, then you better sort out what's going on. It's not about what's going on outside of there. It's what's going on inside. So pay attention to that.
And I'm just going to echo that and say the first thing you have to do as you do that is believe it's changeable. this is the thing that we argue with, it seems like, or we push up against all the time, is people don't believe you can actually change things like turnover or the culture or whatever. It is yours to grow and design. So we are all about accountability. That includes the leadership who are responsible for making sure your culture and the place that you work is a great place to be.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
Well, before we move into the next one, I want to add one more thing to what is employee buy-in and how you create it.
Okay.
So the other thing that's really important, besides helping the individuals feel valued and like they have an opportunity to grow, is making sure they really have something to stand behind or for in front of, whatever you want to talk, however you want to talk about that. But we always, with all of our clients, do core values evaluation and understanding what the core values are within your company. And so that paired with the idea of individuals being valued and their ability to grow, that's what gets the foam finger waving. People feel really excited. They're proud to say they work at the place where they work within your organization. And if you aren't sure if you're on track or not, just go sit at the bar or take some of your employees to a restaurant, or just
keep going.
Watch how they interact, and you can tell. You might not want to know, but you can tell if people like working where they work. Bar conversations are the best way to find out the truth. So make sure those core values are really a part of creating that buy-in, because they have to have something to buy into. A lot of organizations we work with, they don't have really a mantra. They're like, oh, well, we make widgets. It's like, cool. So what's my job in the whole widget line? Well, you're the widget maker number one. It's like, well, what does that mean? Do I ever even know? Do I know what the end product is? Do I know what I'm making? Do I know why it's important in the world and why it's important in the company? Or what's the growth plan? Or how can I contribute to everything? So make sure they know their core values within the organization.
Let's see. The next question is, and that leads well into, do culture types play a part in my team's perspective on employee buy-in? For sure. I think a lot of it's interesting for us to go into an organization and try to affect change there, because we're outsiders. They don't know us. We're pushing to do new things. And so you can imagine that the people that are more chaos tolerant are going to maybe welcome us in the door and like, oh my gosh, we get to do something new. Yay. And they love it and they chase it. Then of course there's other people who are like, who are you and why are you here? And I really intellectually want to do what you're asking, but I don't know how to actually do it or how to engage with it. And so it's really interesting. And so for me, when I think about buy-in, especially in a change environment, the buy-in is all about the level of buy-in, and how it's implemented is all about culture types and understanding who you have on your team.
Yeah, and I think another important piece to that is understanding how those culture types interact with change and in change during change. Because if you don't have buy-in now, or if you have a certain culture and you're trying to transition to another culture, then you are implementing some sort of change or putting change on people. Then you have to understand how those different culture types interact in change, and what feels good to them, what they love, what they hate. So make sure you're paying attention to that. The whole change bit is the second part of the book, Refine. So that is important.
Yeah, for sure. And then how do I create positive employee buy-in? That we've been kind of touching on that the whole time. But again, what you'll see leaders do, especially once they know what having types they have in their organization, is again, it's so interesting when you talk about development, like having people feel valued, to me is a little less nuanced around culture types. It's really about, hey, thank you, you're important, we couldn't do this without you. I mean, just saying those three things to most people are like, okay, great, that's awesome. But the interesting thing about the growth piece is that there might be people, in thinking about culture types, who, let's say you're an organizer and you're a finance guy, and maybe for you, development is looking into actuarial finance or M&A finance or some other aspect of what you're doing that you want to grow your skill sets around your job and very specifically. And a lot of companies actually are more willing to do that. So if your job is an accountant, they're more willing to give you more accountant training. But for chaos people, I'm literally been thinking about getting my pilot's license. That has zero things to do with my actual job. But that sounds really interesting and creative to me, and something that most people don't do. And I would be super interested in figuring out how to make that happen. And so, but most companies are less likely to say, sure, we'll pay for your pilot's training, because it doesn't relate to their job. And so that's kind of a tricky place, because for me, being able to grow and change and develop myself and be challenged might have very little to do with my day-to-day work. And so that's, I think, a big challenge for employee buy-in pieces, and developing that culture of how do I support Rachel, who, you know, has 12,000 interests, and still allow her to grow in a different way as someone who might be an organizer could grow. So that's an interesting aspect of the development and the buy-in piece by supporting development.
Yeah, and I think in terms of creating positive buy-in, it's not just all, yay, happy, this is fun. Mm-hmm. If people are gossiping about some change or some part of your business, or if there's someone not being held accountable to the same way other people are being held accountable, that is what instantly will destroy buy-in in what you say, and what you say the company stands for. And so, as you all know, my favorite word in the whole world, we can't say that word out loud. My second favorite word in the whole world is accountability. And so if you don't hold people accountable to the expectations that you have, or to not gossiping or not spreading rumors or causing turmoil, they will do it. Some people will do it. And then that's when you lose those good people. So Rachel's talking about turnover is not always the people that you want to go. And when it becomes the people that you don't want to go, really be paying attention to how your leaders in your organization are holding their people accountable. Because if people are allowed to kind of do all these different things wherever they want, then the folks who want accountability and want consistency, whether they're chaos or order tolerant, people like things to be fair-ish, unless you're an independent, and then sometimes the only thing that's fair is what I say. But those people want, human beings want that. They want a sort of fair and consistent value, feeling like they're valued, and they want everybody to be treated kind of the same way in the work setting, or at least like there's an opportunity for that. Everybody gets the same slice of pie sort of thing. So that's a really big piece of creating that positive atmosphere and that positive buy-in. It's not, a lot of organizations are like, well, you know what? We got bean bags in the break room, and we got deli sliced ham. It's really great. Ping pong, you can get tap beer if you want, not till after 2, but that's not what positive buy-in is about. You can't bribe people into being happy. It works for a while.
Can't hurt. But it doesn't really work.
Sounds like we're getting some tap handles in our office.
Right. Well, I do have a big fridge full of stuff in my house. So
yeah.
The tricky thing, hopefully I didn't lose it. Hold on. Was it? Oh, you're talking about the beer and what were we talking about?
Creating positive fairness, consistency.
Yes. So
fairness.
It's not always about fairness, specifically equal. It's about expectations. So I've been in organizations when I was at Aeros, big federal facility, 700 plus people. There were some people that had to be there from 7:30 to 4:15. That was their work hours. And we did that because we were in Central Time and we had a lot of East Coast people and that we worked with. So as a scientist, I could roll in and out whenever the hell I wanted. So at first blush, that's not really fair. However, the people that had those jobs knew that was the rule for their team. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be fair across the board. It has to be expectations for the individual role of the team that are consistently maintained and enforced. Not enforced is a tough word, but negative connotation, but held, and expectations are, and held accountable to those expectations. So it doesn't necessarily have to look like everyone has the same color. It's that every team has their own color and set of expectations. So.
Yeah. Yes, very well said.
For sure.
Okay, well, I think that's all.
This was not a very popular topic. So we'll have to, when we get back in 2 weeks, we'll have to have something sexier so that everyone is.
I don't know. We got 11 votes.
Yeah, that's true.
It's 7 on 1.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about how to create positive buy-in in your organization, please follow our You Can Book Me link and book time with us. We would love to work with you.
Yeah, it was funny when we saw this topic come up. We're like, I think people should just hire us because this is a very hard thing to do. Yeah. So to be fair, it is a very hard, especially internally, because you see the world through your lens and it's very hard to see what's not working quite right. And a lot of times we have a half-hour conversation with someone. We're like, oh, this is what's happening. And so it is a little easier from an external perspective, but we believe in you and you can do it. But we're happy to help advise, or if you have any questions, we're happy to support you in that. And we also have our book that you can send to your people or your boss, depending on where you're at in the whole process.
Yeah. All right. Well, in 2 weeks, we will see you again. And we hope you all enjoy this late summer. Take care.
Gosh, school's starting.
Lead powerfully.
Change the world. Bye, guys.
Bye.